obviously now everybody's excited and they want to try this. What obstacles are teachers and schools going to face when they want to flatten the classroom, and how do they overcome them?
Okay, well, I'll start, Vicky, then I'll pass it to you. I think one of the main obstacles is access to the tools. Now we have classrooms from Australia, from USA, everywhere, but Europe, Middle East, Bangladesh. Now we've got another classroom from Bangladesh, China. We've got a classroom from China in our DigiTeam project. And right across the world, there's this variation in access to the tools. China can't get YouTube at the moment. A lot of classrooms in the Australia and USA have trouble with getting access to the Ning. We have IT people who are blocking these sites, not really knowing what they're doing. Having the control, as an educator, having control over what is blocked and unblocked is so important, and having that micro control in the classroom is so important, and quite often this is just taken out of the teacher's hands, and it's affecting access to these projects. Vicky, what do you think?
I agree so much with you, Julie, and you and I talk about this so much. We've seen teachers that are just heartbroken, that know that when they read the newspaper, when they read the books, they know that it's essential for the students in those classrooms to be able to connect. And, I think that every curriculum director should have on their wall a world map. And they should ask themselves, okay, in my curriculum, where are we collaborating with all of these places in the world? And literally, parents should say, show me not only the textbooks, not only the teachers, not just your school, but who are you connecting with? It's not who are you keeping out, it's who are you letting in. And, a lot of people are afraid of that unknown out there, but there are safe, effective ways to connect, even if your school is very, very protective. Think.com is a great place. There's ClassBlogmeister. There are so many tools that literally take away the excuse. You can do Moodles. There are just so many things. But we do have this obstacle and this fear that so many people have. And, my principal, when he's been talked to about, what we've done at our school, he'll tell you, I'm lucky to check my email. But I trust Vicky, and she communicates with me every time we get ready to add something new. He and I sit down and we say, okay, this is what we're adding new. Here are the problems we're going to have. When we went into OpenSim back a couple months ago, I said, okay, here are what I see, Peggy Sheehy and some of the others saying that are happening, and so let's update our policies. And so we made not only avatar griefing, but object griefing. They're considered vandalism. And so we had our first incident of object griefing. We actually had somebody go to the principal's office, and we found that, if we deal with it quickly, if we communicate effectively, that we really don't have the behavioral issues in the virtual worlds. There is a lot of concern about that, the what ifs. But it's one of those things I believe you hire the best teachers and you empower the best teachers. But the best teachers will not stay in a school environment where they are completely locked down and micromanaged. It's called teacherpreneurship. And the best teachers in the world, beyond a shadow of a doubt, are teacherpreneurs. Every study that's pretty much I've ever seen, there's a very high correlation between test scores and the teacher in the classroom. And teachers who are empowering, teachers who customize that classroom to the students are the most successful teachers. And that's what needs to be happening in order to flatten the classrooms. Are there a million excuses why you can't? Of course. But the people who are doing the right things are the ones that are moving excuses. Administration can either be the barrier or remove the barrier. And the best administration removes barriers and makes it so that kids can collaborate safely with people around the world.
And it's also a matter of professional development, as you were saying, Vicky, and teachers having the confidence to go ahead and flatten their classroom walls, and by doing that, bringing the outside world in and taking their classroom out. And it's also a mindset, I find, with teachers. A lot of teachers still are not happy sharing what they do in their own classroom. They like to go in and shut the door and they're quite happy that nobody can see what's going on in their classroom. And I don't think that's a 21st century educator. I think a 21st century educator should have the door open, they should have their walls flattened, and they should be showing what's going on in there, and they should be bringing opportunities into the classroom for their students. And once again, using the technology to support that.
Okay. Excellent segue to the next question before we go to a break. And that is, we've got a sense for what some of the reaction of the kids have been, but can you tell us more about what they're saying about their flat classroom experience?
Oh,
and
well,
this is at the conference itself, actually.
Sure. Well, at the conference, I think we got to the end of the first day, which was a half day to start with. And I remember the students from India, they were a little younger than some of the other. We had students from about 13 up to 18. Students from India were just gorgeous, and they said, "Oh, we've learnt so much already. We've learnt more than we've learnt the whole year at school." And they were just so wrapped in what they were doing. We've got some gorgeous reflection video up on the flatclassroomconference.ning.com, which was sort of our central portal for the whole activity of the conference. I remember Edgar from Ethiopia just talking about very mature Ethiopian boy talking about he now realised what a flat classroom was and how education was not just about taking a test and writing essays, and just these mature reflections that are coming out of these young people just mind-blowing after their experience. Vicky, what do you remember from it?
Well, the thing that most struck me is when I returned back to my 10th grade class, one of the students went from that class. We actually took 4 students. And, I had some people say, what benefit is it taking 4 students? Well, I was reading a book called The Influencer, which is a phenomenal book. Patterson, Brenny, and I'll have to look at the other people that wrote it. But in there they talk about this vicarious learning, and that people who have phobias, if they see someone else travel or see someone else do something, then they become more likely to be able to do it themselves. And we came back and I said, what did you learn? And a student aptly named Joy raised her hand and said, Miss Vicky, I learned not to stereotype. And I sat there just looking at her for a moment and said, why? And she said, well, if so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so can go over there and make friends from all over the world, from many different places, and have these wonderful dear friends from Iraq and Sudan and Pakistan and India and Australia, and then I need to learn to just look at people for people. And I know that I keep coming back to this, but if you can have excellent education, if you can teach them your subject and teach it deeply, but if you can also expand their worldview for students like mine who can't travel as much and are in very rural areas, then that gives us a hope for the future that we can have people that can get along and look at what connects us instead of what divides us. And it was just a phenomenal experience, not only there, but to come back and to hear my students talk about how much they changed. Not only the students changed, but my whole community has changed their view of the Middle East, but also just of other countries. Interestingly, none of our flat classroom projects ever got in our local paper because they didn't understand what we were doing. They thought wikis were witchcraft. But when we went to Qatar and we came back, we finally got in the paper, we finally got to the Rotary Club, and now we have a breakthrough with people understanding what we're doing and have more parents coming in saying, what can we do to support it? And it's just been phenomenal, but what opened the door was getting up and going. We wouldn't have gotten to get up and go if we hadn't have had the connection through the wikis and the nings to begin with. So it's sort of a process of flattening, a process of connecting, but it's completely transformational and literally the greatest thrill of my life.
And just to add to that, it's sad that we had 3 or 4 extra classrooms who were not allowed to come to Qatar, who their teachers tried very hard to change administrators' minds, and in the end they were just not allowed. And these were classrooms from Australia and from the USA, and they were just told no. And I think this mindset needs to be changed. That these opportunities are there, and if the teachers and the students are willing, administrators need to learn a bit more about what's actually happening and what opportunities are there.